What's up YouTube? It's finally time for another Teemo deck, and this time an actually very competitive Teemo deck that has shown a lot of recent success on the ranked ladder. Now, the concept is still pretty unrefined. This is Teemo Sejuani paired with Bandle City, and people are still experimenting around a lot with which card packages to put in this, whether to play this as a more aggressive deck or a more control-y deck, and therefore I had multiple decks by multiple creators as templates. This one is a bit of a mixture of a Gigas's version as well as Sir Donald's version. I just kind of picked the packages I like the most and put them together into my own little brew. So if you've already been playing LOR for a while, you will be familiar with Teemo Sejuani and Piltover and Zaun. That was the original combination. Ballistic bots and Hexcore Foundries would ensure that Sejuani would get very consistent level up triggers, and once she is leveled would consistently freeze the board, because in the late game you would already have shuffled a lot of puff caps into your opponent's decks, and if your opponent draws them at round start, the whole board gets frozen. Now this deck kind of tries to accomplish a similar thing, but with a different region. And that is Bandle City. We have already found out that it can very effectively deal 1 damage to stuff. That's the reason why the Twisted Fate Gangplank deck was so effective, the Pink City deck as people called it. And from Bandle City here we have Poison Dart and Pokestick support, while from a Freljord we also use Ice Shards, all sources that can deal 1 damage, and we can direct that either as board control or removal, or towards our opponent Nexus if we really need those Sejuani freezes or the level up. But Bandle City really excels at not only being able to do that through spells. For example, we also have Inventive Chemist, which can be a very effective level up trigger at basically no cost. You just need to time it well. Ideally, the bomb goes off at the start of your opponent's turn when you don't have the attack token. And yeah, it's a free Sejuani trigger. Additionally, of course, we have the MVP of this deck, Teemo. He doesn't level quite that often in this deck, unfortunately, but especially in early turns, he's very good to get some chip damage to the Nexus. It is a Sejuani trigger, and he already shuffles puff caps, which might be future triggers at some point. Stone Stackers, another great way to get some consistent Sejuani triggers. Just the impact keywords is super valuable here. We also play Conchologists. It's not immediately a Sejuani trigger on its own, but can definitely find some. Has a lot of good finds like Poison Darts, Pokestick, Ice Shard to get more Sejuani triggers if we need them. I also like to play a Ruthless Raider or two in this. It's very synergistic in this list. Again, the Overwhelm keyword often goes through, especially since we can play some optional attack buffs like Three Sisters into Fury of the North. But it also really benefits from the tough keyword in this deck. It survives our own Ice Shards very effectively, but also if we buff it up with Elixir of Irons or Troll Chance, it's just a super sturdy unit that can trade multiple times. It's also one of the few early game fearsome blockers that we have. Then continuing on, 1 or 2 Babbling Byrrcs make a lot of sense in this list. The only draw they can pull is Sejuani, and this deck is very Sejuani centered. A lot of matchups we can only win if we freeze lock the board with Sejuani, so we want to draw her somewhat consistently. And as the last unmentioned unit, we have Lecturing Yordle, one of the powerhouses of Bandle City. Now, it took people quite some time to really realize how much potential and how much strength and value this card actually has. But of course, the stat line itself is already good. Then keep in mind we also play a lot of protection. We can keep this alive forever. And the Poison Dart generation is super synergistic with this whole deck. Puff caps make sense because of Teemo and Sejuani. And of course, it's also a ping, deal 1 damage to anything. And that already explains most of the deck. So I already explained all of the pings, I explained the combo tricks. The things I haven't really mentioned yet are Three Sisters, of course, can also be used for Flash Freeze or Entomb. Flash Freeze as a defensive stalling tool if we need a bit more time until Sejuani takes control of the game. And Entomb is a very interesting one. We can either temporarily disable our opponent's key cards, but we can also use that offensively. When we declare a big attack, someone tries to block our Overwhelm unit, we can Entomb the blocker, and then the Overwhelm hits the Nexus for its full attack. So just keep in mind to stay flexible with Three Sisters and also with the cards that the Conchologist pulls. And you will often find lethals that are not very obvious. And the last unmentioned card here is Hidden Pathways. Usually when playing puff cap centered decks, course, you'd be used to making your opponent draw cards at the same time. But this deck, or rather what's interesting about this deck, is that it often outvalues your opponent. For example, this deck has a lot of good matchups into aggro or tempo decks because it doesn't make them draw stuff, but rather because we also play a lot of cheap stuff. We can kind of withstand their early game, but we don't run out of steam as fast as our opponent would because we play cards like Hidden Pathways to make us draw and refill our hand. And last of all, I really like 1 or 2 Feel the Rushes in this list. Now this one's always going to be a bit meta dependent. If you only run into aggro, the card is way too expensive and too slow. But if you also run into a fair chunk of mid-range or slow control decks, 1 or 2 Feel the Rushes are just gonna be insane finishers. Otherwise, you might run into danger of your 3 Sejuanis getting mini-morphed or aloofed, and all of a sudden you're out of steam. Now, what surprised me the most about this is that this deck is incredibly well positioned in the current meta. According to a Giga's deck guide, this deck actually has a 66% win rate against Lurk, 62 against Dragon, and 69 against Draven Sion, and those are some of the most common and popular decks on the ladder right now. And that's why I would definitely recommend to try this deck for climbing. I actually went on an insane hot streak with this deck. I started off winning 8 in a row, and most of those games were pretty quick as well. And it did feel like this deck has some serious game against just about anything that we ran into in the current meta. So yeah, if you're looking for a creative spicy deck to climb, I would definitely recommend this. And here's a bunch of educational gameplay examples if you still need some inspiration on how to play this deck.
Is it the mustache? Who knows?
Nah, it doesn't really work. But it would have to be like, say it starts as a 10 mana 0/0, and for every mana cost increase that ever happened, it gets -1 mana. For every stat nerf, it gets the reverse stats. I mean, it's a concept. Not sure if it would be a good one. Do I keep FTR in this? Probably too greedy. Then again... Wait, how do I even win this matchup? Isn't this impossible?
Or die.
Show me your Make It Rain. When is Vi Riven? I don't know, I just started playing this deck.
The Winter's Claw.
You poor thing.
We bank spam mana here so we can use both Yordle darts.
Next thing I know, I'm up to my britches in purple berries.
We technically don't need a puff cap trigger anymore. Plunder trigger rather. How good is Troll Chant? I think I'd prefer double darting my opponent's face, right?
It gets yours.
Next turn, if my opponent tries to parley this, I could Troll Chant. Because I think I can really only win this matchup through burn damage. Because I'm not really outracing my opponent before Sejuani freeze chains the board, right? Nice. I'm out Sejuani triggering my opponent. Lovely. Okay. This could insta-flip Teemo. I think I'll take it. Dress defense is generally good in this matchup, but like, I think Teemo is going to be one of my win conditions here.
He started without me.
I don't want to play him before my opponent taps under like party mana even, right? We'll just chill out, do this. Next turn I play him, my opponent might Sejuani immediately, and then I can still level him with entrapment. Okay, opponent's down to 2 cards in hand. This is actually looking better than I would have expected.
Another day in the field.
Teemo usually just causes people to panic. Okay, that's a rough one, but we do have an answer for this. So this might bait something like a Make It Rain out, or a party. And here we go. Spells are more interesting to know, right? But we already, wait. We already saw some copies of Party, Warning Shot, and Make It Rain. So we're getting less puff caps overall than if we pick a unit, I think. We saw 1 Merchant, we saw 1 Zap, we saw 0 Gangplanks. No, wait, we didn't see the Merchant. It just shows up because it showed up here. Gangplank gives us info, but it's likely our opponent has 1 in hand and we get less total puff caps. So I think I like Merchant. Like having the info of whether or not our opponent has Dreadway in hand doesn't really help us that much because we don't have... Sorry, a Gangplank in hand. Doesn't help us that much because we don't have an answer to him anyway. Oh, if this Teemo hit goes through, we're in this game. We're absolutely in this. Ah, no. Barbaric overkill. That's actually a big misplay by my opponent. They should do it while I attack, because now if I would have drawn another Teemo, I still have an opportunity to play him and attack. Okay, we got opponent down to 1 card in hand. Okay, we... Was not a black market merchant, is all we know. Please don't Gangplank. Okay. Like, I could Sejuani here. I could just pass. It's probably pass. Because if my opponent plays Gangplank, I need to hit him with a Seju. Ooh, there... I mean, we did the right play though. Pop.
The winter's claw endures. You own what you take.
Now the good thing is we can pull the keg. Lurk. Down to 11. Could this be lethal? With a Fury and 2 darts? We'd be pushing 8 here. Yeah, 8 through the keg. 2 darts and then we just need 1 puff cap. Oh no!
Only the strong survive.
Oh no! I think I want to do this.
Conquest.
And then dart the thing. Where does the second dart go? All of my stuff gets frozen. Just face, right? And I try to have Sejuani survive. And the next Sejuani attack, pulling Keg and going double Fury. It'd be pushing 5 damage even if she gets frozen. So you can block here, you only die to a monster harpoon anyway. You can both block. Maybe find 3 sisters. Maybe not. I think we're winning here though. Don't really... Like, our opponent would need some ridiculous draws to beat us here. So either double ping or like some way to remove Sejuani. Probably harpoon this round because we can double buffer next round. Play Yordle, Dart Face, play Teemo. What is this card? Any unit would have been played. It's probably... Would it be a warning shot? That doesn't really make sense. Gangplank's Parley? Not that it really matters, but... It was a warning shot. And reads on fleek today. So this even outgrows a monster harpoon. And this should be GG. Oh, that was a clean game. Okay, should be another rough matchup, but we do play plenty of remove. Ooh, good starting hand. Okay. Your 1 mana 3/2 is a bit stronger than my 1 mana 1/1. I gotta admit. Oh my yikes. Looks like I gotta let Teemo go here.
I'll do better this time.
Now where did I leave that beaker?
Just need a second.
Gotta set up an ice shard. Kill off our own unit. Sadness ensues.
For the Empire. For the glory of Noxus.
Oh, misplay. I should have swung with this. It's actually pretty big.
Strike at their foundations. Want to see what it does?
What's up, Serets? Remember when aggro units had low health stats? That was a long time ago. 2 out of 5.
This requires
We get 3 out of 5 on our next turn, 4 out of 5 on our opponents. That's not good enough. Poke this. Gotta hope to find some pings immediately. Damn it.
Little moves are just as good as big ones.
Oh, these count as created cards. That's lovely. Yikes. Hey, let's go, Tito.
Non-flammable.
Let's go, tapped under Pokey Stick mana.
Full scout ahead. Doesn't need everything.
Okay, so this puts us to 4 out of 5. And Sejuani can freeze the sled.
Clear it out. Catch. Bandle scouts are never afraid.
Fury here, it looks a bit bad. Yeah, it's just this. We don't have a play afterwards, that's what's annoying. Wait, what if I go Flash Freeze here? That's probably much smarter.
Wanna see what
Or we play the Yordle this turn but don't use the dart. No, I don't like it. There's a lot of lines to go for here, but this one, like if we now play Yordle and Dart next turn instead of playing Sejuani, we do flip Teemo. Gives us much more chances of outracing our opponent, right? What else? I could Sejuani, get one of the 1 HP units. Push for additional damage.
Peek at life beneath the waves. Astounding curiosities lie ahead.
If I play Sejuani, my opponent's board gets frozen at the start of next turn. Alright, that answers the question. Assuming at least that I get some damage in this turn. Let's go. Heart of the Puffcaps is always with me. I've been an obedient servant so far. A true and loyal follower of the Puffcaps.
Stand and fight.
Could end round. Doesn't really make sense though, does it?
Born for conquest.
Let us take a peek at life beneath the waves.
Okay. I actually would have punished my opponent for that pass if I would have clicked end round. But like, it makes no sense to not play Decimate if you want to play it anyway, so... Didn't really expect my opponent to do that. Astarun, thank you so much for the 5 months. Appreciate it. Oh, that might be worth freezing. Draw or the... I think Yordle and keep Flash Freeze open. I need to not take any more damage.
Mushrooms.
Great now.
The issue is at this point my opponent might have something like Brother's Bond. But I don't feel comfortable losing HP here. Then again, there's so many cards my opponent could have picked, like Elixir of Might, Wrath. They have 2 or 3 Conchologist cards at this point, right? Bouncing Bomb and 2 more. And just 1 main deck card. I think I actually have to just take the block here. Oh, the reads! I didn't even remember Purple Berry Shake, but the reads are spot on today. Just needed to remind myself that my opponent has 2 Conchologist cards and just 1 main deck card. If it was 3 main deck cards, this looks much different. Okay, turning Whirling Death into 1 damage. I like it. So we want to ping this Conchologist. No, wait. Doesn't make a difference, does it? They're all at 2 HP. So we want to ping Faith.
I've never tried this chemical before.
Found the true carry of the deck. I can turn this into 1 extra damage by pulling one of the weaker units.
Non-flammable? Is that a challenge? Ooh, quite a collection.
Ooh, actually a misplay to play Inventive Chemist though, because now I can't use Poison Darts. I mean, if both of these connect, I shouldn't have to use Poison Dart either way. Oh, then again, no, we're not killing our opponent yet.
Reporting in.
Okay, it was definitely a misplay. Actually, now that they play Rearguard, it wasn't. That was a mistake by my opponent because now one of the units goes through. But I should have now played the Chemist at the very end. So it was mis-sequenced, that's for sure. Actually, no, it was still a misplay because Teemo's elusive. Yeah, I missed 1 damage here by playing this instead of Poison Darting my opponent's face.
Discoveries await below.
Still dead to a top deck fervor.
Prove your worth.
Easy does it. My son.
Dodged the bullet. That was a good game though. It was a really good one. I think this is an unfavored matchup. It should be a rough one, but pound the windows. Ooh, that's a really good opening hand for this matchup. Is it a bit too much though? No, I have a Fearsome blocker. I think this is a full keep. Probably going Teemo turn 1, hope our opponent doesn't have a Poro Cannon. In essence, Teemo Sejuani is an aggro deck with some mid-range. That sounds like a bit of a hot take, to be honest. Oh no. If they play Risen Rider on 2, I have to trade in Teemo. Damn it.
This land is ours.
Bandle scouts are never afraid. Oh, I did my best. Now where did I leave that beaker?
Probably worth it. Could set up Ice Shard for next turn, but doesn't look that good. Okay. This also gives me a Sejuani trigger, so I think it's worth it. Yeah, actually 1 mana to basically create a 2-1 that also deals 2 damage this turn and gives a Sejuani trigger. That's really good. Not that guy.
Non-flammable? Is that a challenge?
Might be smart to just take the hit here, actually. I can bait my opponent into blocking on my swing. I think open attack is better than developing. No, we'll be fine.
Prepared for anything.
Maybe develop into Fury. Then we lose our freeze for the Victor.
The sun rock got me
Could be an ambush block. Could definitely be an ambush block.
stand ready.
Yeah, wish. Oh man, that is scary though. Like, using my freeze here. I'm fine against ambush then, but I'm very scared of overwhelm. At 20 HP, I think we're fine. This is almost never correct for my opponent, by the way, because they're playing a burn deck and they're shuffling removal into their deck. Like, you don't want to draw removal as an aggro deck. Good draw. Although Sejuani is what we really need at this point. Or Bjerg. Wait, you have Scout already? Oh my goodness. I mean, I can clear him out on the first swing with Fury of the North, most likely. Nice Scout attack you got there. I think Teemo blocks to the left and the 2-1 blocks here.
It's gonna blow. A Bandle Scout learns by doing.
Attack units to play around Moonsilver Shampoo. Coin flip, what did you smoke? Okay. Well, the issue is that our opponent's outvaluing us. We need to find some value here. Thank you, deck. We need like Lecturing Yordle or Pathways or Bjerg or Sejuani or Feel the Rush.
As I suspected.
Yikes.
Little moves are just as good as big ones.
Come on, deck. Give me the one off Feel the Rush. Why not block Victor with 2-1, wait for him to develop Ancestors? Because we don't want to let the 3-3 go through. Wait, this is each round the first time I see you damage the Nexus, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Only the strong survive. Bow to no one. Born for conquest.
Yup. Viktor's Death Ray. What is... Get Excited Mystic Shot? Bring it on. Bring it on. 6-9 noise. G.